Good evening, roller derby fans. Who is ready for some team introductions? Are you sure? Are you ready? All right. Well, first off, let us introduce the Reservoir Dolls, wearing black this evening. Starting off with number 1012, Ms. Conduct. 1105, Barrel Roller. 1111 is Cat Scratch Fever. 238 is Radio Smacktive. Number 262 is Nat Splat. Wearing 3000, Future Trauma. 314 is Cheese, Smack and Cheese. Number 32, Dalek. K5 is Mechanics. Number 614 is Karma Suture. Number 8, Sasspot. 815, Antimatter. 89, Skulls Be Crackin'. And 8990 is Frankie Fatale. Everyone, please. Also, welcome the Res Dolls bench, Critical Tits, Lady Hoo-Ha, T-Rex, Contusions of Grandeur, and Rock'em Sock'em Rosie. Let's give it up for the Reservoir Dolls.
And now, your Quad Squad. Leading it off, number Oi, this is Good Riddance. Number 101, Quilla DeVille. Number 111, Lex Eternitas. Number 120, Battle Frog. Number 1337, Melee. Number 141, Hammurabi. Number 16, Lana Del Rage. Number 215, Booty Collins. Number 273, Crystal Ice. Number 5388, Dark Horse. Number 7734, Hell Woods. Number 796, Conan the Librarian. And number 847, Hello Sailor. And the Quad Squad are supported on the bench by Cassie Roll, Alligator, the Derber Baby, and MK Ultra.
And for this game, we would like to also give a big welcome to our officials, Dark Matter, Lou Bird, Eddie Lizard, Dr. Brew, Johnny Zebra, Disgrace Kelly, Havoc, Hellwoods, Shownuff, Rex Support, Misinformed, Cordova, Red, Uno Moss, John Lane, Cat Sheehan, and Louisville Slugger.
And lining up for jam number 1, we have Dark Horse skating for Quad Squad, and that is Nat Splat skating for the Res Dolls in black. And they're off. Both jammers working their way through the pack. And that is Dark Horse taking lead jammer status for the Quad Squad.
Meanwhile, Dalek has picked up a first penalty of the game, a forearm.
With a hop, skip, and a jump through the inside, that is Dark Horse for 4 more points.
Nat Splat also completing her scoring pass for 4 points.
And it's a back and forth action here. We've got 4 more points for Dark Horse.
Nat Splat still working her way through the pack, finally through after her second scoring run. 4 more points.
4 more points, and to call it off, Dark Horse. High scoring jam for Jam 1, huh, Reaver?
Yes, it was. Definitely a fun one to watch.
Okay. I've been told I've been yelling into the mic. I will pull it back a little bit.
I didn't want to mention how hostile and uncomfortable you were being there, but we appreciate your attention to details.
And that is Quilla DeVille lining up for the Quad Squad in green, and that is Cat Scratch Fever in black for the Reservoir Dolls.
And Quilla picking up lead jammer status very quickly, although getting recycled to the back of the pack.
Cat Scratch Fever is at the front of the pack, but not lead jammer status. That honor goes to Quilla DeVille in green.
Cat Scratch Fever making her way through the pack and scoring 4 points for the Reservoir Dolls. And Quill calls the jam after picking up 4 more for the Quad Squad. Our game score is now 12 for the Reservoir Dolls, 16 for the Quad Squad. And for this jam, we have Radio Smacktive jamming for the Reservoir Dolls. And
I believe that is Lana Del Rage.
yes, it is.
Sasspot heading to the penalty box. And that is Radio Smacktive. You may recognize Radio Smacktive from the last game. Gio, of course, skated for the Vixens in the previous game. Lots of shenanigans happening around turn 2. I'm not really sure what was happening over there, but that is 4 more points for Radio Smackdown. Radio Smackdown smacked to the inside by Green Jammer, Green Blocker.
And Radio Smacktive calls the jam, picking up 1 more point for the Reservoir Dolls. That takes us to our first lead change of this game, Nate. Score is now 17 for the Reservoir Dolls, 16 for the Quad Squad.
For this jam, it'll be a power start in favor of the Reservoir Dolls. And that is Smack and Cheese skating for the Reservoir Dolls.
Lana Del Rage finally returning to the track, having completed her penalty service.
Smack and Cheese, lead jammer status. Four points for Smack and Cheese. Lana Del Rey still working her way through the pack. Both teams doing a great job, Reaver, with their tripods.
Yes, there is a lot of tight defense going on in this game. It's great to see.
Did you know, Reaver, that Leaping Hound Travel is the only travel company owned by a historian and a physicist and 2 members of Madison Roller Derby, too? They specialize in unusual, creative European vacations, both for individuals and other popular small group tours. Their upcoming tours include a vampire-themed trip to London and Paris, and then in June 2023, a Cakes and Coffee Houses tour of Budapest and Vienna. Let them create your next vacation. It'll be interesting, stress-free, and a little bit quirky, just like them.
And you know what, Nate? I did know that, but right now I'm going to talk about some roller derby. We've got Nat Splat jamming for the Reservoir Dolls and Dark Horse for the Quad Squad. Nat Splat has already picked up lead jammer status and is in the pack again, scoring points.
And it looks like the Quad Squad have completed a star pass. That is Battle Frog. Taking the star, I believe that's Battle Frog.
Why, yes it is. And Nat Splat completes her scoring pass and ends that jam, but not before Battle Frog was able to pick up 4 points for the Quad Squad as well. We're now looking at 29 points for the Reservoir Dolls and 20 for the Quad Squad.
Lining up on the jammer line, we have Quilla DeVille lining up in green for the Quad Squad. And in black, we have Cat Scratch Fever skating for the Reservoir Dolls.
And Quilla DeVille has made her way through the pack to earn lead jammer status. Meanwhile, Cat Scratch Fever still working to escape that pack on her initial pass.
And Quilla DeVille heading to the penalty box. This will now be a power jam. Since Quilla DeVille was lead jammer and she headed to the penalty box, this will go the full 2 minutes.
And also in the penalty box is Quilla's pivot, Gouda Riddance. Wonder if they'll have any key strategy discussions while they're in there, Nate.
It would be a good time to do it.
It certainly would. And
Scratch
pivot.
Fever cycle to the back by Hello Sailor. Quilla DeVille back in the action.
And Quilla slices through that pack almost like a hot knife through butter to get 4 more points for the Quad Squad. Cat Scratch Fever, of course, still racking up those points for the Reservoir Dolls. And of course, because Quilla was lead jammer, we are on the jam clock until our jam timer, Show Enough, tells us we are done.
Delta Beer Lab, one of our sponsors, crafting beer and crafting change.
I love a good change, especially when it comes with some pretzels. A little something salty to snack on while you have that
Yum,
change.
yum, 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 yum.
And now we have Lana Del Rage for the Quad Squad, jamming against Radio Smackdiv for the Reservoir Dolls. Lana Del Rage quickly getting through that pack and picking up lead jammer status.
Radio Smackdiv making her way through the pack, not lead jammer. That is Lana Del Rey still working her way through a tripod of black. That is a 0-point jam. Just kidding. That is a 3-point jam in favor of the Quad Squad.
Looks like that brings us to 37 for the Reservoir Dolls, 35 for the Quad Squad. Closing that gap.
Yes, indeed. Another lead changes might be in the future there, Rich. Get that bike horn ready.
No, instead, we will have an official's timeout.
Terciap's Truncatus Studios is a local Derby-owned independent game design team bringing you fun games and fun gifts for the gamers in your life. Play the new Wreck 'em Up space opera, The Day We Fought Space, now available on a mobile device near you.
And it looks like we are reconciling our penalty service with our recorded penalties. That's usually what's going on when we have a good portion of our box staff out talking with our penalty tracking staff in the infield.
Thank you for that insight. Usually, you are in there.
I have quite often been, yes. And I would like to mention that Leaping Hound Travel is, of course, our penalty box sponsor.
That's right.
So our officials had to leap out from the Leaping Hound Travel penalty box
Like a hound.
in order to speak with the officials in the infield. And it looks like we're about to get ready to play some Derby again. We have Dark Horse lining up for the Quad Squad.
And I believe that is Smack and Cheese lining up for the Res Dolls.
Yes, indeed.
And it is Dark Horse taking lead jammer status. And we have a star pass on the Res Dolls, or an attempted star pass. Aborted star pass. Smack and Cheese heading to the penalty box. Power jam for...
Oh, no, this is going to be a jammer swap, Nate.
musical chairs.
That is where one jammer reports to the box immediately after the other jammer. And so instead of sitting for a full 30 seconds, once that second jammer sits down, the first jammer is immediately released from the box, and the second jammer serves the exact same amount of time that the first jammer did. It looks like it was about 2 seconds apiece.
Okay. And since both jammers hit the penalty box after lead jammer was allocated to Dark Horse, this jam will go for the full 2 minutes. We had an attempted apex jump by Dark Horse.
She unfortunately was not able to complete that apex jump due to the blocking from the Reservoir Dolls pack members. But a little recycling never hurt any jammer ever, and so she is now back on her way around to do some more point scoring for the Quad Squad. Smack and Cheese having also completed a scoring pass.
Dark Horse cycled back. Both jammers working their way through the pack. And now it's Smack and Cheese's turn to be cycled to the back by Melee. And then it's Smack and Cheese through for 4 more points.
And our jam comes to its 2-minute conclusion. And our jammer referees giving final point tallies. It looks like we are now at 49 points for the Reservoir Dolls, 43 for the Quad Squad.
UW Health is proud to be a part of the Madison Roller Derby season. UW Health provides remarkable health care and is committed to serve through medical innovation and unparalleled compassion.
And we did have some late point reporting coming in for the Quad Squad just before the jam started. They are now at 46 points. But Nat Splat has picked up lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls.
Nat Splat talking to her team. Lots of on-track communication. This is good. 4 points, hit it and quit it by Nat Splat.
And that brings us to 53 for the Reservoir Dolls, with the Quad Squad at 46.
Lining up on the jammer line for the Quad Squad in green is Lana Del Rage. And lining up for the Reservoir Dolls in black is Cat Scratch Fever. And it is Lana Del Rage taking lead jammer status. We have a star pass on the other side of the track. That is a pass to Dalek.
And Lana Del Rage picks up a few points and then ends the jam, adding 2 more to the Quad Squad total. That brings us to 53 for the Res Dolls and 48 for the Quad Squad. We do want to encourage everyone to check out WORT 89.9 FM, your local community radio station, online, on our app, or in person. Be a part of your community radio and volunteer today.
And we have a familiar matchup, I believe. This is Dark Horse skating, taking lead jammer status for the Quad Squad, and that is Radio Smackdiv. Maybe a star pass. Yes, indeed, a star pass to the pivot, number 614, Karma Suture. And that is 2 successful star passes in a row for the Res Dolls.
Karma Suture getting her way through the pack, picking up 4 points for the Reservoir Dolls. Meanwhile, Dark Horse is standing in the penalty box, in the Leaping Hound penalty box, about ready to return to the track.
Gouda rated cycling Such all the way back. Dark Horse, 4 points. And we have Radio Smackdiv's on her way to the penalty box, the Leaping Hound penalty box.
And 4 points for the Reservoir Dolls, while Dark Horse picks up another 4 points for the Quad Squad.
Apex jump, 4 points, Dark Horse! Did I pull it back far enough? Okay. Nay! 4 more points for Dark Horse. This is officially, Reaver, the biggest jam of the game.
Indeed, Nate. It looks like we're already at 16 points for the Quad Squad. Are there going to be any more? Let's watch those magic jammer ref hands and see what happens. No. It looks like Dark Horse did not pick up any additional points on the scoring pass she was in when the jam ended. So we are going to have not a lead change, but we are down to a 1-point game, Nate. 65 points for the Reservoir Dolls, 64 for the Quad Squad.
Ooh, it's a nail biter.
And we are now in a timeout that has been called by the Quad Squad.
Meepleton's World of Fun can't wait to introduce you to the greatest store you never knew you always wanted. Head over to Willie Street to check out their offering of quality vintage and modern toys and pop culture collectibles, or customize your own toy in their workshop. Meet Meepleton's World of Fun.
You know what I love almost as much as a good derby, Nate?
What is that, Reaver?
A good derby after party.
Oh, hell yes.
You know, tonight, after the bout ends, Everyone's going to head on over to the Jade Monkey at 217 Cottage Grove Road. And going to hang out, going to have a good time, going to chat with some friends, talk a little derby, perhaps have a beverage.
That sounds like a delightful time. Head down to the Jade Monkey. Look it up online. It's downtown.
We look forward to seeing you there. But back to the action, we have Quilla DeVille jamming for the Quad Squad against Smack and Cheese for the Reservoir Dolls. Smack has picked up lead jammer status, and since she's a tiny little bit behind Quill, she's just going to go ahead and call that jam. Hang on to that Res Dolls lead for just another little longer, if they can do it.
Looks like we have Nat Splat heading to the jammer line for the Res Dolls. Hi, Nat. And we have Lana Del Rage for... Hi, Lana. For the Quad Squad.
And we have another official's timeout.
Jamis interruptus.
It gives Shonuff a chance to have a little gun show go for us.
That's right. That is Shonuff flexing his guns.
That is, show us your guns, Nuff.
Shonuff, Shonuff, Shonuff. Come on, Shonuff, Shonuff.
He's the Shogun of Derby. And our officials' timeout has come to an end. That is what the technical term for that, Nate, is a rolling whistle. Ooh. When it cycles through the registers like that. And we are underway again for Jam 13. Got Lana Del Rage jamming for the Quad Squad and Nat Splat for the Reservoir Dolls. Joining the action just a little after the jam starts, we've got Hammer Abby coming back from the Leaping Hound penalty box. Meanwhile,
Lana Banana Del Rage takes lead jammer status. The Quad Squad is not making this easy on Nat Splat.
No, I think they might be looking for a lead change, Nate. And we have a star pass for the Reservoir Dolls. Now carrying the star is Karma Suture. And Lana Del Rage ends that jam, having picked up 4 points for the Quad Squad, which, do you know what that gives us, Nate?
A lead change.
Lead change. Score now 65 for the Reservoir Dolls, 68 for the Quad Squad.
All right, and this is a quiet start. This one's Dark Horse skating in green for the Quad Squad. That is Catch Scratch Fever skating in black for the Reservoir Dolls. And it is Dark Horse.
Fever is definitely getting held up in that pack, having problems breaking through the Quad Squad defense. Definitely getting her workout this evening. Some good defense at the back of the pack from Battle Frog, working as the Quad Squad pivot. Meanwhile, Dark Horse continuing her scoring runs.
Dark Horse. And we do have a star pass just right before the whistle blows to Dalek.
Dark Horse putting up 12 more points for the Quad Squad in that jam, bringing us to 65 for the Reservoir Dolls and 80 for the Quad Squad.
Lining up, we have Quilla DeVille for Quad Squad and Radio Smackdiv for the Res Dolls.
Nate, I thought those glasses were supposed to help you see the players' numbers all the way over there.
No excuses. No, I have no
Oh,
excuses.
I get it. They're just your Clark Kent disguise.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd know I'm Superman.
Yeah. Well done on playing the part there of Clark.
Thank you.
Good job. Quilla DeVille has picked up lead jammer status for the quad squad and has now also completed her first scoring pass for 4 more points.
Radio Smackdiv. Star in hand.
Dash. Oh, and Dio loses a wheel. And so now she can, of course, attempt to complete the jam on 3 wheels. She can pass the star, but only if she's in play. So she is currently attempting to make her way back to the pack. Looks like attempting to effect a star pass, and she does so successfully.
Dio, I have never seen that.
I have seen a referee skate most of a period on 3 wheels. Or it was a broken plate, I think, actually. So, yes, equipment malfunctions do happen. If Dio had had lead jammer status, of course, she would have been able to end that jam, but since she didn't, she had to figure out a way to help her team while still on the track.
And that is Smack and Cheese lining up for the Res Dolls in black, and Lana Del Rage lining up for the Quad Squad in green.
And a quick lead jammer status for Smack and Cheese for the Res Dolls.
Smack and Cheese, 4 points. Lana Del Rage with the star stash, putting that helmet cover back on.
And the jam comes to an end. Quill was only able to pick up 1 point. Reservoir Dolls were able to pick up 6, but the Quad Squad already has a pretty decent lead. I'm not going to say commanding or sizable, but it's kind of comfortable right now.
There's an addendum there that was actually a 2-point jam for Quad Squad that has since been corrected. That is now accurate on the scoreboard.
And speaking of the Quad Squad, they have now elected to use their second timeout of the game. And that gives me a chance to talk about something I love.
What's that?
Pizza.
Oh, I love pizza.
I love to go to Ian's Pizza. They have 2 locations downtown. One on State Street, 100 State Street, right by the Capitol. There's also one at 319 North Francis, down State Street near the university, near the Kohl Center. And both of those locations are open late to serve your tired, hungry Madison late night diners.
Yum, 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 yum. My favorite Ian's pizzas are the ones with like the fries and crap on them.
Oh yeah, they do a lot of really great and interesting bijou pizza types, you might say. And we should mention also, not only are they a proud sponsor of Madison Roller Derby here, and they have those 2 fabulous downtown locations, they also have 1 location at Garver Feed Mill.
Ooh.
For your east side dining pleasure.
Back to the action. That is Nat Splat skating for Res Dolls and taking lead jammer status. That is Dark Horse skating in green for the Quad Squad.
And Nat Splat, jamming for the Reservoir Dolls, has also completed her initial pass and is closing in quickly on the pack. Dark Horse ends the jam quickly before Nat Splat can get back and score any points for the Reservoir Dolls, picking up 2 more for the Quad Squad.
And lining up on the jammer line, we have Quilla DeVille skating in green for the Quad Squad, and in black, your Reservoir Doll jammer.
Cat Scratch Fever!
Fever!
Quill picking up lead jammer status for the Quad Squad.
Called off the jam by Quilla DeVille before any damage could be done by Cat Scratch Fever. Lining up on the jammer line. Lining up on the jammer line, we have Battle Frog for Quad Squad. This is Battle Frog's first time lining up on the jammer line this bout.
However, Radio Smacktive has taken lead jammer for the Reservoir Dolls. It must be the 4 or 5 other jams she's had this game, giving her a chance. Ooh, excellent hit to the inside, taking out Radio Smacktive, who immediately calls the jam. And she did not pick up any points. Meanwhile, Battle Frog procured 2 for the Quad Squad.
And we're back in the action on Jam 20 of the first half. That is Dark Horse taking lead jammer status for the Quad Squad, but Smack and Cheese will not make it easy.
That was some heavy braking action out there in turn 1 as our jammers came around to engage the pack, and that got called off before any points could be scored. Meanwhile, we have an official review being called by the Quad Squad.
Yeah, Reaver, I'd like to remind the folks out in the audience, since the first half is only 2.5 minutes left, if you are going to use the restroom, please let some of the skaters go first.
Yeah, skaters and officials. Be kind, support your officials if they're wearing a striped shirt or an orange shirt. Please give them the deference you would a skater in queues for things like water fountains and restrooms, because we can't start the second half without them. So if you want to see more derby, let them pee.
Have you ever tried to sit on a toilet and skates?
I feel like that should be a no-brainer. Of course I have.
Green had an extra skater on the track.
It hurts.
Speaking as someone who has officiated quite a few roller derby tournaments in my day, I have, of course, been on a toilet
Okay.
in skates. But what's important is that this official review was brought to us by Black, challenging the number of skaters who were on the track for the Quad Squad. They believed there was an extra skater on the track. That was not the case, so the Reservoir Dolls have not retained their official review for this period.
Thank you for that update. We have on this track, we have, of course, Nat Splat, as you can see, took leader jammer status. That's Quilla DeVille still working her way through her initial pass. 4 points, Nat Splat.
That does break a 4-jam scoring drought that the Reservoir Dolls had been in.
And we do have a star pass to Gouda Riddance.
Nat Splat calling the jam before Gouda can score any points. And that gives us a score of 78 for the Reservoir Dolls, 94 for the Quad Squad.
Lining up on the jammer line for the Quad Squad in green, that is Lana Del Rage. And lining up on the jammer line for the Res Dolls in black, that is Cat Scratch Fever.
And Cat Scratch Fever picking up lead jammer.
Looks like pivot, the Res Dolls pivot. Dalek is heading to the penalty box, the Leaping Hound penalty box.
Lana Del Rage getting recycled through that pack. The way you like to see a good recycle. Environmental conservation, very important.
That's very true. Lana Del Rage through the pack. 4 points scored for Cat Scratch Fever, who calls off the jam.
And with 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls coming up in that jam, that brings us to 82 for the Reservoir Dolls, 94 for the Quad Squad. As we play the game of chicken with the jam and period clocks. Will we run out of lineup time or period time first? We will run out of period time, Show Enough tells us.
All right, and that is the half. We will be back in 10 minutes. Remember, if you are going to use the restrooms or water fountains, please let skaters or officials go first so that we can start the second half on time. See you at the other half, side of the half. And we're back.
I hope you all had a good time making room for skaters and officials in the assorted facilities.
Thank you for joining us for the second half of this Res Dolls Quad Squad game. Again, I am Assassinate, and I'm joined by
the Goram Reaver.
And we've got Rich Mahogany on the production and bike horn.
That's loud enough.
And that rolling whistle lets us know that halftime has officially ended. Looks like everyone's in position, including Dalek, number 32 for the Reservoir Dolls.
Exterminate.
And Dark Horse, 5388 for the Quad Squad.
Hey!
And our first jam of this second half is underway with a very quick lead jammer earned by Dark Horse. That is pretty consistent with what's been going on, Nate. The Quad Squad earned lead jammer status 13 times in period 1, as opposed to 9 lead jammers for the Reservoir Dolls. And that was definitely a very quick hit it and quit it. 1 point only for the Quad Squad and 0 for the Reservoir Dolls.
Lining up on the jammer line for jam 2 of the second half. That is Quilla DeWill in green and Cat Scratch Fever in black. Both teams blockers doing their job.
A lot of defense going on. Quill being held up at the front of the pack, trying to get past that Resdal's wall. We've got a couple of penalties going out. Meanwhile, Quill picks up lead jammer status again for the Quad Squad, excuse me. Quilla DeVille coming through and picking up 4 points for the Quad Squad, while Cat Scratch Fever completes her initial pass.
Casper Screever knocked out to the outside by Booty Collins.
And that was That was 3 points for the Reservoir Dolls in that jam and 6 for the Quad Squad.
You can look there for whatever you All right, and then that is Radio Smacktive in black, skating for the Reservoir Dolls. That is Lana Del Rage in green, skating for the Quad Squad. Both jammers working their way through their initial pass.
And once again, we have Reservoir Dolls taking up station at the front of the pack, but unable to prevent the Quad Squad from earning lead jammer.
Four points, Lana Del Rage.
And Radio Smacktive sliding through on the inside, also picking up 4 points. Lana Del Rage ending the jam, but not before picking up 4 more for the Quad Squad, while Dio picks up an additional 2. Our score is now 91 for the Reservoir Dolls, 109 for the Quad Squad.
This is still a close game, and it could go in either direction, Reaver.
Absolutely.
Looking at the jammer line, it looks like we have Dark Horse skating for the Quad Squad, and skating for the Res Dolls in black. That is Smack and Cheese. Battle Frog cycling Smack and Cheese to the back of the pack. Dark Horse taking lead jammer status. Johnny Zebra doing multiple things at once, calling a penalty and calling lead jammer. Multitasking.
And the jam comes to an end with 4 more points going up for the Quad Squad and 1 more for the Reservoir Dolls. Quad Squad is going to use their official review.
Hey, Reaver, how many leads is that in a row for the Quad Squads this half?
That is 4 leads in a row so far for the Quad Squad. They have had the lead every jam this half, and that is the longest lead streak of the game. However, except for that first jam of the game, they have not held the Res Dolls scoreless this period. They did do a very excellent job in the first period, holding the Res Dolls scoreless in 10 of the jams, whereas the Res Dolls only held the Quad Squad scoreless for 7. Would definitely account for the score differential that we are seeing at this time.
And thanks to Rich Mahogany, who's providing us with these stats, keeping track live, passing us notes so that we seem smart.
We also want to thank Outreach Madison. Outreach is Madison and South Central Wisconsin's LGBTQ+ community center, providing support for over 50 years. Outreach has been on the forefront of social change and provides safe spaces and programs for the LGBTQ+ people of Madison and all of Dane County. Thank you, Outreach.
Thank you, Outreach.
Another quick, fun fact from the first period, Nate.
Yeah, tell us. Tell me more stats from the first period.
Want to hear about some star passes?
Yes.
Res Dolls had 3 successful star passes, while the Quad Squad had 2.
Green is challenging whether Black 8-9 re-entered illegally from the box and fought the attack. The skipper did, so that skipper will serve a penalty and Black 8-9.
And Nate, for that official review, Quad Squad mentioned that Black 8-9, after exiting the penalty box from the Leaping Hound penalty box, returning to gameplay, re-entered the pack from the front.
Okay.
As we all know, the rules say that you must re-enter the pack behind all in-play pack skaters. So re-entering from the front of the pack, definite no-no. The referees agree that that did in fact happen, and so Black 8-9, which is Skullsby Kraken, has been issued an additional penalty and is going to begin the jam in the Leaping Hound penalty box.
All right, enter from the rear. Got it.
Absolutely, always.
Lining up on the jammer line, that is Quilla DeVille skating for Quad Squad in green. That is Dalek skating for the Res Dolls in black.
And Quill picks up lead jammer status very quickly, not surprising. With Skulls being in the penalty box again, that has brought us to a bit of a pack deficit for the Res Dolls. Of course, safety is one of our primary priorities here in roller derby, and anytime there is concern that a skater may be injured, or anytime anyone on the track has been injured or potentially injured, we do end the jam so that they can be attended to safely.
Many thanks to our medical staff for making sure that we are safe.
We'd also like to thank our sponsor, UW Health, who provide safe, remarkable health care, and they are committed to serve through medical innovation and unparalleled compassion. They are a proud sponsor of Madison Roller Derby, and we do thank them as well.
All right, and we are back into the action, Reaver. We have Quilla DeVille lining up, jamming for the Quad Squad in green. That is Cat Scratch Fever lining up, skating for the Res Dolls in black.
And of course, still two black blockers in the penalty box, so lead jammer status again rather quickly for Quilla DeVille. And we do have two of our Reservoir Dolls blocker returning to the track from the Leaping Hound penalty box. Unfortunately, Skullsby Kraken was apparently in queue to serve that penalty for re-entering the track illegally, and that is why she is now in the penalty box.
Quilla DeVille, the lead jammer, is heading to the penalty box, which will make this a power jam, and this jam will go the full 2 minutes.
I love a good 2-minute jam.
Cat Scratch Fever.
Cat Scratch Fever working to get her way through the pack on this power jam, but being held back by Hill Woods at the very front. Working to get her way through that Quad Squad defense, but having a real problem doing so, finally making it through. And Quill is back on the track, having completed her penalty service.
Catch Retriever attempting to come in around the outside, pushed out by Hale Woods.
4 points for Quill and the Quad Squad. And just before the end of that jam, Cat Scratch Fever picked up a cutting penalty. So she will be heading to the box, and we will have a power jam.
Power jam.
That will be Lana Del Rage taking the star for the Quad Squad. Starting off all on her lonesome at that jammer line.
Lana Del Rage held back by the Res Dolls, but being helped by our teammates.
And lead jammer status is picked up by Lana Del Rage on the Quad Squad. Cat Scratch Fever has returned from the Leaping Hound penalty box, but you know who's gone to the Leaping Hound penalty box? Antimatter. I wonder if she enjoys that. You'd think she could use the power of physics to not have to go to the Leaping Hound penalty box.
Not even physics can overcome penalty power. I don't know.
It sounds like a very strong force.
And we have Radio Smacktive skating for the Res Dolls, and that is Dark Horse skating for Quad Squad.
And we have a timeout that was called just before that jam was set to begin. And so the Quad Squad is now using a team timeout. I'm sorry, the Reservoir Dolls is using their team timeout.
Bonzo, one of our sponsors, Bonzo for Madison's best falafel and hummus. Visit their Sherman Avenue location, offering dine-in, takeout, or delivery, or check them out online at bonzomadison.com. That's B-A-N-Z-O Madison.com.
I do love me some ground up chickpeas.
Remember a few seconds ago when I announced who the jammers were? Also, their names again. That is Radio Smacktive and Dark Horse. Dark Horse, lead jammer status.
So, Nate, how many times this period do you suppose the Quad Squad has earned lead jammer status?
How many? I don't know.
8.
8. Nate times.
That is 100% of the jams so far since halftime ended.
That's impressive.
It really is. And Dark Horse used that lead jammer status to adopt a hit it and quit it strategy, picking up 4 more points, bringing the Quad Squad's total to 133. Reservoir Dolls remain at 92, having been scoreless for the last 4 jams.
Quilla DeVille skating for the Quad Squad. That is Smack and Cheese skating for Reservoir Dolls. And that is Smack and Cheese taking lead jammer status, breaking the seal for the second half. First, Res Dolls lead jammer status for the second half.
Proving once again the godlike power of the announcing staff.
Indeed.
We'll just file that under things I can do as an announcer that I cannot do as an official.
And the penalty box are empty. That is 80 wheels on the track.
That's a lot of wheels.
Cat Scratch Fever, skating for Reservoir Dolls. Lana Del Rage, skating for the Quad Squad. Lana Del Rage cycled way back by Nat Splat, allowing Cat Scratch Fever to take lead jammer status.
And trying to squeak through on the inside, Cat Scratch Fever gets knocked to the infield, but Battle Frog takes the star in a star pass for the Quad Squad. And the Reservoir Dolls have hit the century mark, Assassinate.
We have just over 18 minutes left. 33-point differential. This could go either way. That is Dark Horse skating for the Quad Squad. That is Radio Smackdiv skating for the Reservoir Dolls. And it is Dark Horse take lead jammer status. Apex jump. Fast skating.
And we have three more points on that scoring pass for Dark Horse, bringing us to 7 total in that jam for the Quad Squad. Our score is now 100 for the Reservoir Dolls, 140 for the Quad Squad.
Quilla DeVille. Smack and cheese. And it is Quilla DeVille taking lead jammer status. Smack and cheese still making her way through. Completes her initial pass. Ooh, fancy footwork, getting some points for Quilla DeVille before calling it off. It's a 4-point jam. 4-point jam.
And we have Gouda Riddance taking the star for the Quad Squad, up against Cat Scratch Fever jamming for the Reservoir Dolls.
Gouda Riddance takes lead jammer status. I believe this is this Gouda's first time jamming?
I believe it is her first time this period.
This is the first time starting with the star. She did get the star once in the first half. Thank you, Rich, for correcting me.
But you know what would be really epic would be Gouda Riddance versus Smack and Cheese. There would be so
That'd be a cheese off.
much cheese on the track. It would be a gooey, sticky, delicious mess.
I always carry my Lactaid for cheese emergencies.
I'm a foreigner from one of those states out east. I have opinions about cheese.
All right, Radio Smackdo skating for Reservoir Dolls. And that is Dark Horse skating for the Quad Squad. Dark Horse taking lead jammer status.
Nice little jump at the inside line there to get past the last of the blockers. And we have a star pass for the Reservoir Dolls from Radio Smackdo to Karma Suture. Dark Horse calling the jam after scoring 3 points. Brings us to 100 for the Reservoir Dolls and 151 for the Quad Squad.
That is Jam 15 beginning. That is Quilla DeVille skating for the Quad Squad in green. And that is Smack and Cheese skating in black for the Reservoir Dolls. And Smack and Cheese taking lead jammer status.
Like a bunch of cheddar sliding through on your panini press.
And that breaks a 4 jam lead streak.
And also gives Smack and Cheese a chance to end that jam early and hold the Quad Squad scoreless. Interestingly enough, Quad Squad only scoreless in jams in which Res Dolls have had lead jammer this period.
I believe that is Lana Del Rey skating for the Quad Squad and Cat Scratch Fever skating for the Reservoir Dolls, and it is Lana Del Rey taking the lead jammer status. Is it Lana or Lana?
Yes.
I will ask after the game. Ooh, sneaking through the inside for 4 points is Lana Del Rey. Big spin.
And we have had a star pass to Nat Splat for the Reservoir Dolls, who has finally made it through the pack and completed the Reservoir Doll initial pass and now ready to score. And our pack gets split.
Rage getting coaching from Revenge to call off the jam. Holding the Reservoir Dolls to 2 points for that jam and 6 points for the Quad Squad, holding their lead.
Barrel Roller picking up a pack destruction penalty at the end of that jam. Fun thing about the rules, the pack has to stay together, Nate.
Dark Horse taking lead jammer status, while Radio Smackdo still working her way through the pack.
And we have another star pass for the Reservoir Dolls. Karma Suture now carrying the star. Dark Horse ending the jam, putting up 4 more points for the Quad Squad. We are now at 106 for the Reservoir Dolls, 161 for the Quad Squad.
And that is Smack and Cheese skating for the Res Dolls, skating against Quilla DeVille. Hell Woods heading to the penalty box. Followed by Future Trauma to the penalty box.
You know, Nate, looks like some of our crowd has already left the game. I hope they got the memo and headed over to the Jade Monkey.
Yes, the Jade Monkey. Earlier tonight, I said the Jade Monkey was downtown. I was just testing you. Where is it actually? It's on the east side.
It is. Thank you for the geography quiz. I'm sure
Cottage
we all
Grove Road,
appreciate it.
217 Cottage Grove Road. Put that into your devices.
It is on Cottage Grove Road, just east of Lake Monona.
And making our way back to the track, that is Lana Del Rage skating for the Quad Squad and Cat Scratch Fever skating for the Reservoir Dolls. Both teams' blockers doing quite a good job holding those jammers back. But it is Cat Scratch Fever out first, but not lead jammer status. Four points for Cat Scratch Fever.
And we have a star pass for the Quad Squad. Battle Frog now serving as jammer.
Whoa. Sneaky through the inside. Track cut though, sorry. We have a power jam for the Quad Squad. Power jam. Battle Frog, ribbit, ribbit.
Ribbit, ribbit through the pack. Just got a few seconds left on Cat Scratch Fever's penalty, trying to score some points. Unfortunately, picking up a cut penalty on the outside line, heading now to the Leaping Hound penalty box.
This allows Cat Scratch Fever to pick up 4. No points. Our score with just north of 7 minutes left. Reservoir Dolls with 117, Quad Squad with 163.
And Quad Squad has requested to use their official review. Nate,
Yes, Reaver,
are you having fun?
I am having a blast.
Would you like to do this again sometime?
Yes, when is the next time we can do this?
How about January 21st? What
Let-
are you doing on
I'm-
January 21st?
Let me check my calendar. I'm going to be here.
Right here at Kiva Sports Center?
That's right, same spot, January 21st. Come back and see some more sweet, sweet derby action.
Tickets are available at www.madisonrollerderby.org/tickets. $18 for adults, $10 for children, and children under 4, of course, are always free, or tickets will be able to be purchased at the door for $20, unless, of course, we sell out in advance.
It saves a couple bucks to buy early.
Indeed, it does. Also, means you don't have to worry that when you get here, there aren't any tickets left.
Who here's having a good time tonight?
Rich Mahogany says he's having a good time.
Everyone give it up for the Reservoir Dolls. And give it up for the Quad Squad as well. Give it up for our UDO, our refs. Give it up for Hinckley Productions. Give it up for Reaver and me. Give it up for Rich Mahogany.
Woohoo!
Give it up for the scorekeepers. Give it up for yourselves.
You are all awesome. that official review. Would you like some information?
Tell me what happened.
The Quad Squad was challenging the cut call that came on their jammer towards the end of that jam at the outside. However, the referees, after reviewing the action, have said that the call on the track was correct. And so we do have Battle Frog in the penalty box as the jammer for the Quad Squad.
And that gives Nat Splat and the Reservoir Dolls a power start. Dark Horse cycling Nat Splat to the back of the pack.
Battle Frog returning to the track from the Leaping Hound penalty box, sliding through on the outside to pick up lead jammer status for the Quad Squad. And another hit it and quit it.
That was amazing. Battle Frog came out of the penalty box, taking lead jammer status so fast, so effortless.
Unfortunately, that hit it and quit it action at the end concluded with a back block penalty for Battle Frog.
Oh, no.
And so she is now back in the Leaping Hound penalty box. And we will have a power jam start for Smack and Cheese and the Reservoir Dolls. The action, the suspense.
Smack and Cheese! Four points for Smack and Cheese.
Battle Frog has returned to the track from the Leaping Hound penalty box, but gets knocked to the inside of the track and recycled, while Smack and Cheese picks up 4 more points for the Reservoir Dolls.
Ooh. Hammer Abby cycling Smack and Cheese way back there says, it's hammer time.
That's a nice defensive wall set up at the back by the Quad Squad, anchored by Hello Sailor at the outside line, sending Smack and Cheese off to end the jam from the outfield.
Quilla DeVille skating for the Quad Squad in green. That is Cat Scratch Fever in red for the Reservoir Dolls.
I think she's in black for the Reservoir Dolls.
Pardon?
I believe she is in black for the Reservoir Dolls, not red.
It's been a long night.
It's okay. Colors are hard. And we have Dark Horse lining up for the Quad Squad against Radio Smacktive for the Reservoir Dolls. Dark Horse earning lead jammer status. Dio also through the pack. Dark Horse ending the jam as quickly as she can, but unable to hold Dio scoreless. That is 2 more points for the Reservoir Dolls, 3 more for the Quad Squad. We are now at, 3 more points for the Reservoir Dolls. That brings us to 131 for the Res Dolls, 170 for the Quad Squad.
What is that, a 39-point differential?
Yes, it is.
I almost said 29.
Quilla DeVille skating for the Quad Squad, and Smack and Cheese skating for the Res Dolls. Smack and Cheese taking lead jammer status.
Quill is hot on her heels, though. Let's see how this plays out when those jammers get back to the pack.
Whoa, fast.
All right, we had some amazing defensive action at the back of the pack from the Quad Squad blockers. And a quick call off, leaving both teams scoreless in this jam.
Lining up on the jammer line, we have Lana Del Rage skating for Quad Squad. We have Cat Scratch Fever skating for the Reservoir Dolls. Both jammers working their way through the pack, being held back a little bit, but it is Cat Scratch Fever taking lead jammer status. Karma Suture holding Lana Del Rage back, cycles her back to the pack, allowing Cat Scratch Fever to pick up 4 more points.
And we have a star pass for the Quad Squad. Good riddance now serving as their jammer. Cat Scratch Fever has picked up 4 more points.
Oh, through the inside. Does she make it? But she calls off the jam.
And the Reservoir Dolls have elected to use their team timeout.
Is that really 14 seconds left?
There are 14 seconds left. 14 seconds left in the bout. 14 more seconds, action-packed seconds of roller derby action!
But you know what, Nate? It could be longer than 14 seconds.
Indeed it could.
Once that jam starts, it will continue to its natural conclusion, even if that is 2 minutes after it begins.
For what may be the final jam of the evening. That is Dark Horse, and that is Radio Smackdown. Dark Horse, Radio Smackdown, both jammers working their way through, being held back by tripods of the respective opposite teams, but it is Dark Horse taking lead jammer status.
And Radio Smackdiv is heading to the Leaping Hound penalty box.
So power jam for Dark Horse, and since the period time has elapsed, this is the final jam of the night.
And Dark Horse ends the jam after picking up 4 more points, bringing us to a score of 144 for the Reservoir Dolls, 178 for the Quad Squad. We're just waiting for the officials to confirm that before we stick a fork in it and call it done.
Thank you all for coming out. It looks like we do have an official score. 144 points for the Reservoir Dolls, but the winners of this bout, Quad Squad with 178 points. Give it up for both teams.
And give it up for the officiating crew. And give it up for our fabulous fans.
All right, and I'll see you all at the after party. We'll get smashed!